Hi, I decided to do my video essay 2 on the government shutdown because I feel that it was an important issue that recently has occurred in our government and impacted many of the American people. So that's, even though it's already over, I chose that as my current event that happened. Um, so here's my video essay on the government shutdown. When one hears the words government shutdown, it may not compute to some Americans that our government can shut down per se. Yes, even our faithful government can take a day off when financial crisis strikes. Among Congress's many jobs, one that is essential to the function of our government is passing spending bills. These bills determine where the money available in our government goes and allows the United States government staff to get paid. If Congress fails to pass these bills, then the function of the federal government must be cut down to the bare necessities. This has occurred other times in history. In this particular instance, however, the shutdown was a direct result from House Republicans and Democrats failing to make a decision. The government shutdown can hardly be described as small, however. Until the issue of spending and payment is resolved, unnecessary government functions come to a halt. This particular instance of government shutdown was officially enforced on October 1st and lasted through October 17th. This government shutdown resulted because Congress failed to enact legislation appropriating funds for fiscal year 2014. The deadlock was a result between disagreements between two sections of Congress on the federal budget for the year 2014. The effects from the shutdown impacted the lives of many Americans. Below I am going to speak about some of the different impacts the shutdown had on individual Americans as well as society. Americans were affected domestically. About 80,000 federal workers were furloughed on an unpaid leave beginning on October 1st. Naturally, the workers that were furloughed were concerned about the amount of time they would not be receiving any money, but on October 5th, the House passed a bill that would pay back furloughed workers at the end of the shutdown, and Obama signed this bill into law. Still, these workers had to suffer through 16 days without a paycheck, so this must have taken an effect on the individual lives of many of these workers. Another effect was taxpayer audits were postponed by the IRS during the shutdown. However, tax returns due on October 15th remain due on that deadline. The closure of the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island caused frustration to many tourists, especially for those who were from outside the United States. Tourism dropped drastically to the United States from other places around the world due to the temporary closure of these popular tourist sites. The closing of national parks also created upset among the citizens of the United States. A NPS press release said the shutdown of national parks would result in losses of 76 million a day in tourism-related sales among local communities. Many parks remained open to the public with the absence of workers, and naturally this resulted in vandalism and destruction in the parks. I just want to comment on that really quickly. I can't remember what park it was, but I saw on the news that a particular park had a World War II memorial that was located inside the park. So because of this, they decided to keep the park open to the public so that veterans from particular wars could go see the memorial. And then the park was vandalized with spray paint and things like that because there was an absence of anybody watching over the park. So that was interesting. Um, the United States also began to receive international criticism, and leaders of other countries began to comment on the situation. Prime Minister David Cameron of the United Kingdom stated that the USA shutdown should serve as a reminder on how public expenditure can be prudently controlled, otherwise a deficit is inevitable. Um, The main press agency of the People's Republic of China stated that the shutdown exposed again the ugly side of partisan politics and has disappointed voters. It also called it a bizarre development and warned that the damage will continue if the drama drags on. Those are just two of the countries in the world that have commented on the issue, but several countries all over the world have commented mostly negatively on the shutdown because we do have an economy that affects the entire world when it's not functioning. So, a personal friend of mine who wishes to remain nameless works as a botanist for the federal government. A botanist is someone who studies plants and in her case tries to determine possible medical benefits in plants all over the world. Her job is to analyze specific plants from all over the world, whether it be a new species of plant or whatever, to see if it has any medical benefits um, to help people with various forms of diseases and things like that. So pretty cool job. Her area of federal work was viewed as unnecessary at the time of the shutdown, and of course she was furloughed. She was put on unpaid leave. Um, she said at first it was kind of fine to have the day off. None of my coworkers expected the situation to last as long as I did. After a couple days, we began to get worried when a decision wasn't made. I started wondering if I should look for another job during the time of the shutdown in order to support my family, but just as I really began panicking, the shutdown was terminated and federal functions resumed. Many Americans like her grew apprehensive during the time of the shutdown because after all they have families to support as well. As of October 17th, the government functions have returned to normal. The idea of another shutdown still looms in the mind of political theorists. Many American citizens fear that future budget arguments may result in another shutdown. Time News interviewed Obama after the shutdown, questioning whether he was nervous about another shutdown on the horizon, to which he simply responded no. So there is a chance that this can happen again, um, especially if Congress doesn't agree on budgets for 2014, but apparently the President Obama isn't worried about it. So um, we'll just see what has to happen. The reason I did my essay on this is because it shocked me the impacts that it had on people. I just kind of thought, wow, it's not going to affect anybody really. They're just going to have to make a decision. But in talking to my friend and looking up online what the impacts were, it was really interesting to me. So thank you for watching my video essay too.